A U.S. Navy sailed a second ship through the South China Seas this week, further challenging Beijing's claim to the disputed waters after the People's Liberation Army or PLA claimed that it expelled the first ship amid escalating tensions over the disputed region and the global pandemic. The USS Barry carried out the Freedom of Navigation operation on Tuesday, the Navy said in a statement. Their mission was to maintain the rights, freedoms and lawful uses of the sea recognized in international law. Unlawful and sweeping maritime claims in the South China Sea pose an unprecedented threat to the freedom of the seas, including the freedoms of navigation and overflight and the right of innocent passage of all ships. After the incident, the PLA's Southern Theater Command, which oversees the disputed region, released a statement on Chinese social media claiming that their forces responded by forcing the USS Barry out of the island chain. The PLA said that ships and aircrafts were sent to track, monitor, verify, identify and expel the American warship from Paracel Island. The Chinese military also accused the U.S. of seriously violating international law and China's sovereignty and security interests by engaging in provocative acts. The U.S. Navy's action was incompatible with the current joint efforts of the international community to fight against the COVID-19, the PLA said in a statement shared to the military's Chinese social media. These provocative acts by the U.S. side seriously violated China's sovereignty and security interests, deliberately increased regional security risks and could easily trigger an unexpected incident. While the PLA said they expelled Barry, a Navy spokesperson denied the claim, telling Newsweek on Wednesday that all interactions that occurred were in accordance with maritime norms. Earlier on Wednesday, the U.S. Navy carried out a second Freedom of Navigation operation in the Spratly Islands with the USS Bunker Hill. In a statement to Newsweek, a Navy spokesperson said both operations this week were consistent with international law. This Freedom of Navigation operation upheld the rights, freedoms, and lawful uses of the sea recognized in international law by challenging the restrictions on innocent passage imposed by China, Vietnam, and Taiwan. The move came 1 week after Beijing tightened its grip on the disputed area by ordering an administrative reorganization of the area's territories. Chinese authorities introduced 2 new municipal districts, slicing control of the Paracel and Spratly Island groups, which was originally managed by Shanxia, in China's Hainan province. In another move that strengthened their territorial control, Beijing authorities announced official Chinese names for 80 islands and other regions in the South China Sea. Washington disputes much of Beijing's claim to the disputed sea, including Paracel Island, a region that Vietnam and Taiwan also claims. The two nations have traded jabs in recent weeks over their respective handling of the global coronavirus pandemic, with each attempting to shift blame onto the other. American has repeatedly lashed out at China, where the virus was first identified in late December before it then spread around the world, for allegedly hiding information about the origin of the disease. U.S. Secretary of State ramped up the accusations during an appearance on Fox News on Wednesday morning. The Chinese Communist Party now has a responsibility to tell the world how this pandemic got out of China and all across the world, causing such global economic devastation, Pompeo said. America needs to hold them accountable. Meanwhile, tensions in the region have worsened in the last month with a war of words between Beijing and Washington over the coronavirus pandemic. In the exchanges, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper criticized Beijing of failing to share information about the pandemic, while Beijing accused Washington of dismissing China's efforts to control the contagion. Rather than joining forces to contain the pandemic, both sides have increased their military presence in the Taiwan Strait, as well as the South and East China Seas. On April 22, the Yokosuka-based USS Barry transited the Taiwan Strait before heading to the South China Sea. A day later, the PLA's aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, led its strike group through the strait.